instead of palming, largely those that are supposed to go to farm, they are now on the other side, breaking the pipeline because they are getting more money than going for the agriculture.
The issue of sabotage, yes, sometimes it happens, but not in all cases. Not in all cases. And so we have to discuss on the possibilities of bringing the issue here to a logical conclusion. Because you cannot be talking about people's life and you just write it off.
President, apart from the three speakers, more especially my brother from Bayelsa. Mr. President, this issue of oil spill, fire outbreak, and fire blight nutrition is a long history which I believe you have been in this Senate at least for quite some time, and this kind of motion has been in place. The pipeline that were laid since in the 50s and the population is something that we need to lay emphasis. And also the activities of our youth in the region, as well as the kind of attitude of IOCs, that the international oil companies, what they are doing there for the region, is something that we put together so that we can be able to find the answer on where we are today. There are a lot of issues, many thousands of them. It's beyond addressing the pipeline, but carelessly, the way we are, because the way the IOCs are doing business in Nigeria, it's never done anywhere in the world. It's never a global practice. But they are having their way. And it's our people. And also our people there, giving them the opportunity to do such. I could remember sometimes in 2016, when President Buhari, I was there in the United Nations with him, the issue of clearing the lands degraded by the oil spill, which money were mentioned. I don't know whether make it available, about $2 billion. But the problem is, at the time that you are doing the clearing the land and making it habitats for farmers, and all these oil, the farm trees is talking about, largely in the region today, it's no more. Why? Because the oil spill. The one that humanly we as citizens we created in the name of bunkering, and the one that carelessly or largely by the oil international companies are just living because they are going away with it. I could remember during Obama's time when there are such things in the Pacific, in the Atlantic, the Shell, they know the consequences, what they paid. But today in Nigeria, they go along with it. Nobody cares. So what I'm trying to say here is that, Mr. President, we should look at the behaviors of international oil companies, how they are doing it, and we have to bring them to book to do the business as they are doing in the other part of the world. Even in Africa, the way they are doing it in Nigeria to go free, they cannot do it in Angola to go free with it. So, Mr. President, on doing so, the oil companies should be wholly responsible, and also to mobilize more. I know the governors are doing, when I was on that part, what they are doing to ensure that they calm their people and orient them on stopping breaking the pipeline. That one has been reduced. But the problem more is that instead of palming, largely those that are supposed to go to farm, they are now on the other side, breaking the pipeline because they are getting more money than going for the agriculture. Would we now know the impact of destroying our land and destroying our crops? So the largely land cannot make palm, and a lot of sickness, as they said, in cancer and what have you. When you come to the oil gas flaring, they are not even following the rules, and they are not the right penalty that is supposed to be paid. They are not. So that's why they're going along with it. But if they know, the oil companies, they know they are paying the right penalty, they will do the right thing so that they can control the pollution, so that at least our people there can stay safe. But something needs to be done, Mr. President. Thank you very much.
As it has been said severally in this hallowed chamber, and in almost all the discussant areas, over and over about the issue of oil spillage. Sir, some of these issues...
Senator Convoy, sir, there are two divergent opinions.
Yes, sir.
One from the deputy minority, the minority whip, and the other from Issa Jibrin. Issa Jibrin is saying the entities, the companies, are the ones that are at fault. And he is saying that the issue of sabotage is more important here because several people are sabotaging these facilities, thereby causing this spillage. So you come from that area. What is your view? I think you should address these two. Which one is right, which one is wrong?
Very well, sir. That is where I am coming. As one that's a primary custodian of oil activities or flow stations here and there, right from 1956, though I was not born then, but we have seen the pipelines that were laid from that time till now that still exist. Pipelines that were laid since from 1957, 1958, still exist. And what do you talk about just pipelines? The result has to be corrosion. Over time, oil has been flowing through all those pipelines, and they have become so weak. They have become so weak. So many of them are weak and have worn out. And in fact, some of the wellheads, if you get there, the corrosion there, you see the rust all over the places. And what do you expect from chest installation when there is sufficient pressure all the time coming from, from the bottom? The result is that it has to explode. And whatever you see, you take. There have been so many times these kind of things have happened. The one that happened in Nembe, where it has to stay, the spill has to be there for days before they were able to curb it. Sir, the issue of sabotage, yes, sometimes it happens, but not in all cases. Not in all cases. And so we have to discuss on the possibilities of bringing the issue here to a logical conclusion. Because you cannot be talking about people's life and you just write it off. As I'm talking to you, there are so many pipelines that are passing through people's houses and people's bush camps where we do palm wine to distill and survive and live, but it has all been taken over. And where you see pipelines passing through everywhere, people's houses, people's business points, people's farmlands, what have they been doing? And what has the government done all the time?
So people knew,
sir.
Excuse me. People knew that there were pipes there, but they still built their houses, or the pipes were built when.
Let me give you an insight of what happened. People existed there before the exploration activities took place. My father's tap palm wine tapping camp that I also benefited so much from. Pipeline is just passing by it. It is not when the pipelines came that those camps were opened. The farmlands has always been there before the oil exploration activities came. And what is it? Everywhere you go, danger, keep off. Danger, keep off. And so the people have been keeping off. After that the people have kept off, what is the result? We are just there watching and looking. And that is the issue. And so people should not just come here and talk down on the pains that the people are already experiencing. The lives of the people here are at stake. From the motion here, it is very clear. Spillage plus fire outbreak results to what? Either asthmatic occurrences or what have you have to be experienced every now and then. That is what our people suffer. There are a lot of ailments that are going on now that were not there, that we are observing now. People cough anyhow without stopping until they die.
We are now well educated about what is happening.
Sir,
thank you for your insight.
It is very, very appalling. And so, what I want to submit...
Your time is off. You have said all. Your time is off.
Yes, sir.
What
I want to submit
also
is that we should not quickly go into issues of sabotage, because there are agencies, there is government, and there is also the state government.
Thank you. Your time is off. Senator Abdullah, you have the floor.
And ascertain what was the issue that led to the spill.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Respected and distinguished colleagues, actually, I didn't want to come in to this debate, Mr. President. But from the two positions that you have taken, I think the position you have taken, you have clarified the issues. And the submission of my distinguished friend is very apt. I have to say that the conditions of people around the oil exploration areas is really terribly appalling. I'm, Mr. President, talking from experience. I was the first permanent secretary of the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs. So I traversed the length and breadth, nook and crannies of Niger Delta. The picture that our distinguished senator is talking about is exactly as it is. The situation is prone to what Senator Ipalibo has also narrated about this particular fire. I'm sure there have been so many of these kind of fires. It's just that it has not come to the attention of the Senate. And a lot of the issues talking about sabotage. There may be sabotage, but sabotage is not the major issue, really. Because the way in which the oil exploration infrastructure and the flow stations have been laid out in the Niger Delta region has not been surveyed. In fact, at the beginning, I think, of the development of the Nigerian oil industry, Shell and other corporations were just allowed to lay pipes to their own economic convenience without regard for any environmental surveying to make sure that certain areas, there are certain specified designated areas where pipelines and flow stations should be located. Therefore, it's a hodgepodge of oil wells, spill areas, oil pipelines, everywhere. So anything can happen. At any point, anything can happen. What is happening today, and because of this destruction, that's why a lot of oil majors are now moving out, going to the sea, and then leaving the nascent Nigerian domestic oil industry now confront the kind of dangers and the kind of real problems that they have left behind. Now, the issue before us, sir, is that this country has to come to grips with the reality of the death and destruction that is coming in the wake of offshore Nigerian oil drilling and oil transportation. And in that way, there must be proper survey in order to make sure, that we have a complete reorientation and reconstruction of oil development infrastructure in this country. You will note that the remediation efforts that have been going on in Ogoniland since the beginning of the Buhari administration, people are talking about that kind of, but generally that kind of remediation has failed. The people of the Niger Delta has paid the price of Nigerian oil industry with their lives and their health. It is important for the government to come to face this particular reality with a view to really reorienting the way in which these things happen. Anybody, even if you don't have any form of conscience, you go to the Niger Delta region, you see how communities live, you see how societies live, you see where the pipelines are. I was at Olobiri. There is nowhere in the Niger Delta region where they produce oil that I have not gone. In my capacity, Mr. President, we were together with you in the 8th Senate, when we are all members of the Niger Delta Niger Delta Development Committee. But I have gone even much further because I was first permanent secretary of the ministry that was supervising the thing. It's not late now. The government has to come to the grips not just about the health of those communities and the possibilities of fire coming out everywhere. The incident that my distinguished Senator Ipalivo was saying is just one. There are so many hundreds of them, but it's just that they are not reported. People are dying. Therefore, we must come to the grips with the reality of the oil industry and rearrange the complete infrastructure that carries oil, the flow stations, the pipelines, and the delivery points where oil is taken away. Those old pipelines that my colleague talked about must be removed. There must be a complete relaying of this kind of thing, well-surveyed infrastructure so that the domestic oil industry on land, should be rehabilitated. But I think an emergency, an oil development emergency should be set up this country to sort out this issue. Otherwise, we are sacrificing a whole section of this country, for the benefit of our few. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. And now you'll be granted to Senator Abdulaziz Yari the last to speak, because all that needs to be said have been said. We've gotten the son of soil. He has told us. We've been enlightened. The first permanent secretary of the Niger Delta Spill Detection and Response Agency knows that to immediately investigate the cause of the fire outbreak and oil spill from manifold well 8 BUG box 008 in OML 18 Bukuma Agom River State, and submit a detailed report to the Senate within 4 weeks. Those in favor of this prayer, please say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. You say nay. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it.
Observation.
You didn't call for amendment in time now.
I raised my hand. You didn't call me.
So what's
Mr. President, sir, I've been raising my hand as the chairman.
I'm sorry,
even to contribute. You didn't call me.
We have gone past that. I'm sorry, I can't help
on this prayer, I will not report to the Senate.
Look for additional prayer. Excuse me. You can create an additional prayer. Create an additional prayer, but you have gone past this.
Okay, sir.
We are going to the second prayer. If anybody has an amendment, please indicate. Or else if we get it passed, we can't go back. Also, all the Ecological Project Management Committee, EPMC, to deploy the Intervention Fund, National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to alleviate the multifarious ecological challenges within the affected areas, including the loss of livelihoods, health issues, and social and environmental damages caused by this spillage. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. And I ask that if anybody had an amendment, you should say it. You did not indicate. We have got that. It's prayer. You can couch an amendment if you like, to take care of your observation. Yes. Yes.
All right,
Additional
sir.
prayer. Thank you. No, not now. Until we finish. You can come by way of additional prayer. Thank you, Senator Issa Jibrin. Prayer 3. Anybody has an amendment here, please indicate. Equally urge Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPC, OML 18 Limited, to take immediate and decisive action in response to the fire outbreak in line with its corporate social responsibility and commitment to environmental safety by deploying emergency response teams to assess the impact of the disaster and provide necessary remediation measures to support the affected communities. Those in favor of this prayer, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. We're now on prayer 4. Any amendment? No. Mandate the Committee on Environment, led by Senator Akintunde Yunus Abiodun, Petroleum Resources Upstream, and any other relevant committee to assess the compliance of the operators of Manifold Well 8, BUG 008 in OML 18, Bukuma Agom Rivers State, with the provision of the EIA Act and other relevant laws to recommend appropriate actions, including shutting down the affected well, commence immediate cleanup, and full environmental remediation of the affected areas. Those in favor of this prayer, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Additional prayer, if any. Sorry, let me get a...
My additional prayer is that the federal government should declare a national emergency program for the rebuilding, rehabilitation, and recalibration of the national onshore oil wells, flow stations, and pipeline infrastructure in Nigeria, with a view to renewing the infrastructure in Nigeria's oil industry.
A seconder, please, Senator Adamu Alero.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Mohammed Adamu Alero, presenting Kebbi Central. I stand to second the additional prayer proposed by my colleague, Senator Yahya Abdullahi. Thank you.
Those in favor of the additional prayer, please say aye. Those against say nay.
To urge the Ecological Management Committee and relevant agencies to ascertain cleanup costs, charges, and penalties of each and every oil spill or fire hazard and charge operators accordingly. I say this, sir, if you permit me, because...
Seconder, please.
Yes, second me.
Your Excellency, Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the additional prayer ably moved by Senator Natata Kushi. I so move. I so second, sorry.
Those in favor of the prayer, please say, excuse me. Well, the vote is going to be taken, but as the presiding officer, as the president, let me guide the Senate. You see, the facts have been laid out, particularly by Senator Abdullahi, the first permanent secretary of the Niger Delta Ministry, right? Well, I agree that there are a combination of factors. Some are due to, of course, the major factor is the fact that we have an infrastructure that has become decayed, right? And the second factor, which cannot be ascertained, is the fact that there are some level of sabotage in that. Now, coming up with these additional prayer, I think will create problem on these two issues that have been raised, particularly the one that has just been passed. But anyway, the Senate has the latitude to deal with the matter. So let me put the question. Those in favor of this prayer, please say aye. Those against say nay. Oh, the ayes have it. Any additional prayer? We've come to the end of the debate. Thank you very much, Senator Banigo, for bringing forward this motion, which is apt. I had the privilege of serving as the chairman of the Senate Committee on Petroleum Downstream. We also came to discover what Senator Yahaya talked about, that there's a need to reconstruct our oil infrastructure because some are now outdated, decayed, and causing a lot of problems. And even not for that, for security of the oil pipelines, that they need to be constructed underneath the ground. Now they have to propose it. One, to secure them, and number two, for the safety of the people. And this is what ought to have been done. But then, the oil companies didn't take all this into consideration. What they needed is money. And so they did, to their own convenience and to detriment of the people. So, but the issue now is the money to reconstruct the infrastructure. It was calculated, but huge amount of money. So we need to look for a way out. Our president is an up-and-coming president, someone who is into reforms, who can do what, something that we might think is impossible in terms of garnering funds to, construct a lot of things. So I think we should put that before him. This motion, this resolution, will get to him, and I think he's going to think along the line of getting the problem solved. So thank you, Senator Abdullahi, and thank everybody that contributed to this motion. Is worth it. It's something that should be debated, and it has been debated, and the resolution will go to the executive, and I'm sure, by the grace of God, the executive will look at it and make sure that the needful is done. So I thank everybody. Thank you. The Leader of the Senate.